9,000 RPM, 240 horsepower, and no automatic offered. This is the Hot Wheels Honda S2000. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Troy, and this is Torque Junkies. And we're going to dive into the Honda S2000 today to see what we can learn about it. When Honda unveiled the S2000 in 1999, this wasn't just another sports car, it was a statement. The S2000 was built to celebrate Honda's 50th anniversary, and instead of playing it safe, Honda's engineers were given rare freedom to build something special, a car focused entirely on the driver. The name S2000 wasn't chosen because of the year it launched, it was intentional. The S refers back to Honda's original S-Series Roadsters from the 1960s, the S500, S600, and S800, lightweight, high-revving sports cars that helped define Honda's early identity. The 2000 represents the heart of the car, a 2-liter engine. That engine, the F20C, would go on to become legendary. At a time when many manufacturers were turning to turbochargers and larger displacement engines, Honda did the opposite. They built a naturally aspirated 2-liter inline-4 that produced 240 horsepower at 8,300 RPM and 153 pound-feet of torque at 7,500 RPM, an almost unheard-of power-to-weight ratio for the era. Even more impressive, it achieved one of the highest horsepower per liter ratings of any production engine ever made. And then there was the redline. The Honda S2000 revved to 9,000 RPM. Not in a race car, not in a concept, in a street-legal production car. This was made possible by Honda's VTEC system, which used multiple cam profiles to give the engine two personalities. At lower RPMs, the S2000 was smooth and manageable. But once VTEC engaged right around 6,000 RPM, the engine transformed. The sound sharpened, the power surged, and the car came alive in a way that made drivers chase the red line again and again. Honda didn't stop there. The S2000 used a front mid-engine layout, pushing the engine back toward the center of the car to achieve nearly perfect 50-50 weight distribution. Power was sent to the rear wheels only, and Honda made a bold decision. Every 2000 would come with a 6-speed manual transmission. No automatics, no compromises. If you wanted an S2000, you had to drive it. Early models, now known as the AP1 generation, were raw and uncompromising. Produced from 1999 through 2003, the AP1 featured the original 2-liter F20C engine producing 240 horsepower at 8,300 RPM and the full 9,000 RPM redline. These cars demanded respect. Skilled drivers loved them, inexperienced drivers learned quickly. The MSRP for the original AP1 S2000 was around $33,000 in 2000. Total production of AP1 models was approximately 53,000 units worldwide, making it highly collectible today, especially in pristine condition. Performance figures were strong for the era, 0 to 60 in the mid 5-second range and a top speed around 150 miles per hour. But numbers were never the point. What made the S2000 special was how it felt. The steering was razor sharp, the chassis was alive, and the shifter became one of the best feeling manual transmissions ever put in a production car. In 2004, Honda refined the formula with the AP2 generation. The AP2 introduced a slightly larger 2.2-liter engine known as the F22C, which produced 237 horsepower at 7,800 RPM and 162 pound-feet of torque at 6,500 RPM. Torque arrived earlier in the rev range, making the car more forgiving and more usable on the street. The red line was slightly lowered to 8,200 RPM, but the soul of the car remained intact. Suspension tuning was revised, stability control became standard, and the S2000 matured without losing its identity. The MSRP for the AP2 S2000 started around $34,000, slightly higher due to the larger engine, updated suspension, and added features. Total production of AP2 models was approximately 33,000 units, which combined with AP1 brought total S2000 production to around 86,000 cars. And then, near the end of its production run, Honda created something special. In 2008 and 2009, Honda released the S2000 CR, short for Club Racer. The Club Racer was the most focused, track-oriented version of the S2000 ever offered. Honda removed weight wherever possible. The soft top was deleted entirely and replaced with a factory-installed aluminum hardtop. Air conditioning and the stereo were removed, sound deadening was reduced, the suspension was stiffened and lowered, steering was retuned, and unique lightweight wheels were fitted. Even the interior reflected its purpose, with exclusive seats and subtle CR badging. The CR retained the F22C engine, but was slightly tuned for track focus, producing 237 horsepower at 7,800 RPM and 162 pound-feet of torque at 6,500 RPM, just like the standard AP2, but with improved handling and reduced weight. Only a small number of S2000 CR models were produced, just over 600 units total, making it one of the rarest factory S2000 variants ever built. The MSRP for the S2000 Club Racer was around $38,000, reflecting its track-focused upgrades and rarity. And yes, the hardtop was standard equipment on the Club Racer, one of the details that makes it so desirable today. By the time production ended in 2009, the Honda S2000 had cemented its legacy. It became known as one of the purest driver's cars ever built, an example of what happens when engineers are allowed to prioritize balance, feel, and connection over convenience. And today, that reputation is reflected in the market. Clean, unmodified examples, especially the early AP1 cars and rare Club Racer models, are commanding strong prices on Bring a Trailer, with values continuing to climb as enthusiasts realize cars like this simply aren't made anymore. And that's why this Hot Wheels version matters. I'm gonna go ahead and show you here some screenshots of what I found on Bring a Trailer, and we'll check out what they're going for on the market today. All right, here's what I've come up with from Bring a Trailer. Here's one that sold 38,000 mile example, the 2000 S2000. This one sold for $28,000, $28,750. This was just literally yesterday, it looks like, or today. This one was in Georgia, 38,000 miles. I love this color. I think that's one of my favorite colors on the S2000. There's an interior shot of the black leather seats in this one. Very simple dashboard. I love that. I love how they just kept it so simple. There's a shot of the VTEC engine. There's a yellow one. I worked at the Honda dealer, Linwood Honda, for 6 years, and we had one of these yellow ones that got traded in at one point. I always thought this was kind of an interesting color. This one sold for $36,000 just a couple weeks ago, or about a week ago, I guess. 28,000 miles on it. Now here is one of those hardtops that I'm assuming this must have come off of a Club Racer. Look at what it sold for. It sold for $7,800 just for the hardtop alone. That's amazing. And there's a red one there, sold for $26,250. It's a 2006. This one has 95,000 miles on it out of Florida. I mean, these cars, you could buy these cars and just drive them for years and turn around and sell it for what you paid for it and get all your money back out of it. Here's one 28,000 mile 2005, sold for $31,250. That was in Pennsylvania. And then here's a Club Racer. So this one was a 2008, sold for $47,000. Wow, that's amazing. More than it was new. 59,000 miles on this one. I love the little, I don't know what you call that, but the little piece behind the seats, the little humps that go behind the headrest or whatever there. Pretty cool looking. And this one had unique seats in it too. I guess the Club Racer had these seats. It says they're upholstered in black Alcantara with yellow inserts and stitching. Also on the steering wheel. And there's a picture of the engine on the Club Racer. So anyway, these cars, this little Hot Wheel is just amazing. This is obviously a Club Racer, even though they didn't say that on the packaging or anything, but Hot Wheels did a great job with this car. I love the headlights, the Honda badge on the front of it. They just did a great job with the spoiler, the hardtop, tail lights, license plate, badge on the back, the exhaust, all that kind of stuff. Great job, Honda and Hot Wheels. Remember, cars like this Honda S2000 were never meant to be forgotten sitting in a box. Cars like this are meant to be seen.